Hello everyone. So once again, thank you for joining this session with me. So I am Nivas from Vembu Technologies. So I am the one who is organizing this session. So I'm also having Mr. Pranav with me. So he is the presenter for today's webinar. So before getting further, so I would like to let you know the ground rules for this webinar. Here all the attendees are in listen-only mode. Whenever a new attendee joins, so they will automatically go into listen-only mode. However, if you have any questions, so you can see a Q&A box in the left side of this Zoho meeting session. So just click on the Q&A and type in all your questions. Okay, so I'm here. So I'm ready to answer all your questions. Okay. So the entire session is being recorded, and you can get the recorded copy of this meeting. So after this session gets over, so we'll post this recorded copy in the website, so you can just go and see the recorded copy from the website. Okay, so this is the ground rules for this webinar, and so today's topic is what's new in BDRSuite version 5.2. So Vembu has recently released the latest version of BDRSuite, that is version 5.2. So this brings a lot of new features and functionalities, and also some enhancement bug fixes. So in this webinar, so we are going to cover the new features that arrived in the BDRSuite version 5.2, and you can also see how these features are working in real time. You can see how these features are working. Okay. Pranav is the presenter for this webinar. So with this, I will hand over the session directly to Pranav. So Pranav, you can start the session from now.
We seeing what are the new features that version 5.2 of BDRSuite has got. So I do see a lot of new attendees or new joinees who have joined in. So to make them clear with what we are going to talk, I'll just give you a brief introduction of what BDRSuite is. So Vembu is the company which has a product named as BDRSuite. It's more towards the backup and disaster recovery software. So this software has been in this market for pretty much quite a long period of time, because backup and disaster recovery was our main goal of market in the scenario. So our main, I would say, like our main goal is to have a better enterprise class featured software, backup and disaster recovery software, to the mid and small and mid-range businesses at this marketplace, so that we can earn the firm with a nominal price range. That has been our main motto, and Vembu has been striving to achieve that for all these years. And I'm even happy to announce that we have been consecutively named for one of the top leaders of this market. So yes, we'll be moving on to the next slide one by one. So so in this BDRSuite, as I told you, Vembu specifically has been in this backup and disaster recovery market for more than a decade and a half years. So with that decade and a half years of experience, we have achieved a lot of feature, and based on that, we have etched a product that caters to all the basically for IT environments. So with that, we have our footsteps in 100 plus countries, with 60,000 plus businesses are using our software till date. Now, though that's an introduction about my firm as well as the product, now we'll be seeing what is the product overview. We'll be having an overview on this product through this slide. So this BDRSuite, as I've already mentioned, is one complete software package. I would say it as an all-in-one software. So this software encapsulates many product features within it, with which you can back up your virtual environment, you can back up your physical environment, you would be able to back up your cloud workloads, your SaaS applications, and a granular level of backup support for both your virtual and physical environment. Okay, so this is how we have catered our product to be. And when I say about the virtual backups, I'm actually referring to the backup and replication for VMware as well as Hyper-V environments. When I'm mentioning about the physical environment backup, I'm actually referring to the disk image level backup for your Microsoft Windows. Either it could be a server operating system of Microsoft Windows or the desktop operating system of that. And then we move on to the cloud workloads. I'm referring to the AWS EC2 instances that you could take a backup using the cloud native APIs of AWS. And then we have the SaaS applications where you can back up your emails, contacts, calendars, the drives, OneDrive in case of Microsoft 365 and Google Drive in case of Google Workspace. Apart from these, for Microsoft 365, you can also back up your SharePoints as well as Teams as well. Okay, so this is a SaaS-based application that you could take a backup, and you can also restore this data, the SaaS application data, to your own account or to another user account. You can either take a backup at an organization level or at a specific user level. That's what advantage that you have in our SaaS applications. And then the granular level of backup. This granular level of backup as of now is through a client agent. So you have to install the BDRSuite client for file servers, endpoints, and applications, where you can back up your files and folders of the source machine granularly. It can be your physical machine, virtual machine, or even your instances that you're running in cloud. You can take a backup of that. And it can be of any operating system, either it is a Windows, Linux, or Mac. It caters to that situations. So this is what my backup scenario is all about. And when I'm mentioning about the DR part, that's in the DR section, I'm actually referring to offsite or DR copy. So what is this offsite or DR copy? Just to have a secondary copy of your backup data in order to cater to the 3-2-1 backup policy. So to have a one offsite copy in either in your own offsite location, that could be a secondary data center or a remote office or a branch office of yours, or you can just store it in Cloud DR, BDRSuite Cloud DR. So when I'm mentioning about this offsite DR, so this is also a software which if you have a secondary data center or a remote office or a branch office of yours, you can install this software, offsite DR software, as on a server operating system. Once you install, you'll have the backup server, that is your BDR backup server, replicating all your copy of your backup data from its backup repository to the offsite location. So at times, even if your backup server crashes down, you can restore your data from your offsite DR server. The main advantage that you have in this offsite DR server is you'll have a similar recovery options which you could see in your BDR backup server. Well, for individuals who can't expand their environment or they don't have a secondary data center, then they can opt for this Cloud DR of BDRSuite, where once they sign up for the BDR Cloud, they get to store their data in BDR Cloud. That's a secondary copy of their data. They get to store it in BDR Cloud's storage space allocated under their name. Okay, so once if they wish to restore, they can restore the data from anywhere at any time. That is one advantage of BDR Cloud, as this BDR Cloud or Vembu Cloud, which I'm referring, runs on AWS. Okay, so the two main recovery options that we have is either you can restore your data as a VM, VHD, VMDK, flat VMDK, or raw format, or you can restore them at a file or folder level. Okay, so this can be done from any part of the world. So this is the difference between your offsite DR and your cloud DR. So there's a basic requirement which I felt of sharing with you. So to all the new attendees, now I think you must have had an overview about the BDRSuite, both the backup and disaster recovery part. Now, straight to the target. This topic which we are going to discuss is what's new in BDRSuite version 5.2. So recently, Vembu launched this BDRSuite version 5.2, one of an upgrade, I would say, that mainly caters to the requirement of the partners, mainly the MSPs, the service providers, the resellers, and the distributors. So let's see what are the new features that we made in. So in this BDRSuite version 5.2, the three main requirement that was launched. So all these three are basically one of the it adds a weightage to your product as enterprise class business that caters to the requirements of the partners. So one such option that we launched is restore to Azure. So for all your image level backups that you take, we were able to restore it as a ready state virtual machine through instant boot recovery option, or you can just perform downloads, or you can just you can perform the full VM recovery or file level restore. All these were available previously. Now you can just spin up a virtual machine that you have taken a backup on your Azure site. Okay, so it can be your VMware VMs, Hyper-V VMs, or either the Windows image backup that you have taken for servers or workstation. All those backup data can be restored to the Azure site. All you have to do is you have to initiate the restore directly from the BDRSuite, and once you initiate it, it will automatically get restored to the Azure location where you can spin that up as a virtual machine. This can be done both from the BDR backup server as well as from the offsite DR server. We don't have that option for cloud DR, but we have the option for offsite DR server. That's one of the main concern that we have. So this will add a weightage here for people who have a cloud instance and they want to restore your data to Azure. And the second important feature is multi-tenancy. This, the group management, which we had initially, has been added and enhanced to the feature called multi-tenancy. According to this architecture, the BDRSuite has redesigned the supports which we have initially been offering to the MSPs. So now any MSPs or the partner now can create multiple tenants and allocate more entities, more than one entities to each of their tenants. Okay. So each tenant will get multiple user roles to monitor and manage all their entities which they have configured for backup. Okay, that's what the multi-tenancy is all about. And then the BDR 360 server. I believe the users who have been using the product in version 4.2 would have heard about this BDR 360. Now we have renamed and brought it to and also we have enriched it with add-on more features, and we bought this as BDRSuite 360 server. So this is more of an on-prem server. You have to install this on a server operating system. This enables the customers as well as the service provider to monitor all the backup activity from a single window. This is more like a single window. As of now, we only have monitoring features, but soon we'll be also bringing up the management features from this single window. This is more of a centralized web-based console that you can see how this BDR 360 works. So for a user who has multiple backup servers under his account, can view all the backup activities that is being taken place under his backup server or throughout his backup server, across his backup servers, using this BDRSuite 360 server. So these are the three main new features that has been incorporated into the product BDRSuite version 5.2. And now let's look into the enhancements that we have made. So this time most of the enhancements were towards the two main hot topics that were SaaS applications backup. So mainly the Microsoft 365 and Google Workspace got some enhancements in this version, and some bug fixes were also done in this patch of BDRSuite version 5.2. So the first point which you could see is an automated step to add your Microsoft 365 account to the BDRSuite has been introduced into the product. So initially we had the manual step where you have to search for the application ID and the tenant ID and its password. So that's the manual step. But now we have introduced our automated step as well. And the next one is The on-demand backup scheduling for Microsoft 365 backups were now being introduced, and it also has been enhanced to the betterment of the customer's requirement. And then we have this backup progress window for Microsoft 365. Initially, we had this feature only for AWS. I mean, for the other features as well, like the image level backups of VMware, Hyper-V, Microsoft Windows, and then file and folder level backup. You could see that the progress window of the backup, how far it has been taken up backup. But now we have introduced that for Microsoft 365 backups as well. And the reports of this Microsoft 365, generally the reports of SaaS applications has been enhanced in this release. And then for the mailbox, initially we didn't have this subfolder tree section, but now we have introduced this subfolder tree section for this Microsoft 365 mailbox. So while you try to restore, you could be able to see the subfolder tree section for your mailbox, your OneDrive, and even for your group OneDrive features when you try to restore all these. And then the user level backup report has also been incorporated into the Microsoft 365, and the PST download for Microsoft 365 now supports all the Outlook versions of Microsoft. Okay, so the user mail, which you wish to restore, can be downloaded in a PST format, and that can integrate with any of the Outlook versions that you're using. You can use that PST format to see what the mails that you have restored. And then at last, you have this on-demand backup scheduling also for this Google Workspace backups. Okay, so this is what the enhancements that we have made in this BDRSuite version 5.2. So as I told you, much of enhancements and the bug fixes has been done for the SaaS application backup, mainly for Microsoft 365 and Google Workspace. So now we'll just go on to a live demo. I'll just give you an overview of what all the features and where it is all available. Okay, so just give me a minute before I take my screen. So this is my backup server. I've just taken the console of my backup server. As I told you before, this BDRSuite is one complete solution. It's more of a software where which you could install it on a Windows or Linux operating system. Okay, Linux in the sense we specifically rely on Ubuntu from 18.04 LTS and above. So this I have installed it on a Windows server operating system, and I'm just taking the console of it through my web browser. So I'm just logging into this server with a default username and password. The installation is a normal installation, so it is not much of a difference that you could see. But if you want to change all your username and password while installing, you can choose your customized option and you can add your username and password over there. If not, if you go with a normal installation, then you will go with a default username and password, that is admin and admin. So initially when you log in, the backup server will ask for a unique BDR ID. So this ID is nothing but a name that you're giving to your backup server. Using that name, the backup server will be identified while purchasing the license, or even for your clients. When you use the backup server ID, the client will identify the backup server through that ID. Okay, so that's how the ID gets its importance here. So initially, after you log in, you will be asked to choose your backup repository. Either you could choose your block storage or object storage, and you can go with by creating the storage repository. So block storage in the sense your local storages, that is your local drives. When you create all your storage volumes of your local drives of that server machine, or if you wish to add a network drive, you can add a network drive, either your NAS drive or SAN drive, as your storage repository. Okay, so that's more of a block storage for you. So here we have three options of repository type. Either you could go with a simple. So with this simple, you won't be able to expand your you can't scale out your repositories whenever it is needed. But when you choose this scale out repository, you can add, even if your repository is getting filled, you can add a repository later on to that existing repository. And then disk rotation is a feature where you can swap your disk on a periodic basis, so that you will have, whenever you swap your disk, the initial backup will be a full backup that is coming into your disks. Okay, so this is more of the repository type that you have in this objects, block storage. For object storage, it is more reliable on this Amazon S3. If you have your own S3 bucket in Amazon, you can add your S3 bucket as your primary backup repository, or you can add even your S3 compatible devices as your primary backup repository. Okay, so that's the two repositories for you. So before you configure any of your backups, it is must that you have to configure for your backup repository. Now, looking into the GUI for this version of BDRSuite version 5.2, I could see 3 new options directly in my backup server menu. So under the infrastructure, I could see this BDR 360 server. This is only available for Windows as of now. It is not available for the Linux build of BDRSuite version 5.2. So under the infrastructure, you have this BDR 360 here. And then under the management section, you have something called as tenants now. Okay. So initially it was groups. Now it has been renamed as tenants with an enhanced feature as well in it. And then at the credential management, you could see this Amazon S3, but I'll show you the exact Amazon S3 restore. So when you click on restore a backup data, so first let me talk about the backup backup configuration, and then we'll move on to this Azure recovery. So as everyone knows, so for image level backups, specifically the VMware, Hyper-V, and Windows, you can just click on this tab. Then under this data sources, you can add your, in case of VMware, you can add your ESXi or vCenter to, by adding your VSXi or vCenter, you will just add your host over here, and you can take a backup of this host later in your backup configuration section. And that's the same for Hyper-V, where you can back up your Hyper-V clusters, the standalone servers of Hyper-V, as well as the SMB servers of Hyper-V. And for Microsoft Windows, once you add the IP address, an agent will be pushed, and initially it will ask for a restart of the source machine. After that, you will be able to configure a disk image level backup. So this is how you're going to add your data sources under this data sources section. And if at all you need a client for this, you can download a client. If it is a distributed environment in case of yours, then you can just download the BDR client. This is more of an unified client. You can download it, and which we support only for Windows with 64-bit. You can install it and you can configure your backups only for VMware, Hyper-V, and Windows. Okay, the client will back up the data and send the data to the default repository of your backup server. So either your block storage or object storage, whichever you have chosen it to be a default repository, you will have the client's data that have been backed up and get stored in this either of the default repository that you have chosen. Okay, so that's more about the data sources that you add, and then configuring your backup job. After you add your data sources, then you will proceed by adding configuring your backup job either for VMware, Hyper-V, or Microsoft Windows. That's a disk image backup. Okay, and more on that, either if you want to go with a pre-required configuration, you can just choose this backup job template option. Okay, using the template option, you can predefine your configuration. With that, you can select that for rest of your virtual machines that you're trying to take a backup. Okay, so now quickly, once your backup is all done, so I've in my demo machine, I've already configured 3 of my image backups. So Hyper-V, VMware, and Windows disk image. All these backups, it's all completed. Backup is all completed. Now, when I choose to restore, here's my restore backup data. So when I choose to restore, I would be able to restore that to my Azure site. Okay, so here you could see an option. When I choose here, you could see an option like recovery to Microsoft Azure. So before I enable this option, I have to set my proxy, VDR proxy over that Azure recovery. So I've just gone to recovery tab again and click on VDR proxy over there. I have to create a proxy for that Azure site recovery. So clicking on this create VDR proxy, I have to choose the Azure account. Either I can choose from the one which I have already added, or I have to add a new account over here. So here is a detail how to add those Azure accounts, like tenant ID, application ID, and the application password. All these are listed down in this section. You can either download this information in a PDF format and you can read through, and you can, using that, you can add these detail over here. Once you add those detail, your account will be added. But I've already added 2 accounts of mine, so I'm just choosing one and I'm going to do the next section. Under this, based on my subscription, I'm going to choose my subscription value, and then the location where I have my data, so I'm going to choose that. And then the resource group, it will list down, once you choose your location and your subscription details, it will list down your resource group as well as your VM sizes. Okay, all those will be listed. So I can choose one from my resource group, and I can choose a backup, the BDR proxy name for that. So for here, let me give it as test. Okay, I'm not going to do something in the live here, but I'm just giving you a overview of how things to be done. So I can just add a VM name, a proxy BDR proxy VM name over here, and then credentials for that VM. So if it is a new credential that you're going to add, you can click on add credentials and add those details. It will be listed down in this, the section. Okay, and then you can choose a storage account of that, this VM that you have chosen, and then the size, the VM size that you're going to choose, and the virtual network that you have to choose. Once you choose, the next step is the review step. I'm sorry. The next step is a review step. The final review step, once you finalize, you can set to create a BDR proxy account. Once that is all created, your BDR proxy account will be listed down in this section. Okay, so you could see like PM demo, I've already listed it out, and it is in the creation process. The creation is in progress. So once it is created, then you can just go to the recovery tab again, click on restore backup data, and choose the restore option alongside your whichever the backup job you have chosen. Let me choose like Hyper-V. I'm going to choose for Hyper-V. It is going to list down the virtual machine that I've taken a backup, where I can choose to restore this to the Microsoft Azure. Just checking on that, clicking on the required timestamp, and then here I have to choose a target VM name and select the Azure account that I have configured, and then I'm going to choose the target VM configuration. So under the target VM configuration, I can select the VMs, what are the configuration, what is the size of the RAM that I should to give, or those details of the storage and network settings can be configured from this target VM configuration, and then I can proceed with my restore process by clicking on next. So this is what you have for your Azure recovery. Okay, so that is the main step that you have. And the next one is my tenants. So creating a tenant. So this is generally for the MSPs. So where you can combine different entities, either the host, virtual machines, servers, or workstations, organizations for your SaaS applications, and then your accounts. All these, whichever you have added to this backup server, can be grouped. Okay, and it can be grouped and added to this backup server, and you can even add your users for each tenant that you're going to create. Okay, so this tenants can be edited, and you can also set up the associations to where you have to restore this particular tenant. So all you have to do is, I've already created 2 tenants here, like virtual tenant and SaaS tenant. So I'm just going to configure another tenant. Okay, where I'm just I have to give a tenant name. So let me give it as physical, And then I have to give a email ID. So I can choose from any of the email ID that I can give. For now, I'm just giving as PMT webinar. I'll just get a web at Vembu.in. Okay, and I'm going to choose a restore location. This restore location would be in the BDR backup server itself. Okay, so I can choose a perfect restore location. I can choose any of the folder. It is going to list down over here, so I can choose any one detail from here. I'm going to choose this. I'm going to choose it, and you can give your address, phone details, and then description as well for you to identify the tenant detail. Okay. So when I click on entity, it will list down all the entity types here. Either the VMware, Hyper-V, Microsoft Windows, that is a disk image, AWS, Microsoft 365, Google Workspace, or if it is endpoint, I can add the endpoint. And if I'm not going to add any entity as of now, you can just choose this I will add entities later option so that you can proceed with the user access. Okay. If not, you can add the entity. For physical, I'm just choosing Windows disk image. I'm just choosing an entity here where I can add the entities. All these entities are listed in my backup server. So I'm going to choose all the entities and add it. Okay. So here you could see all these entities are added now. And proceeding further, I'm going to enable the user management web console access. So once I enable, I can add the user here. Here, I can add the user mail ID, the access privilege. Either I can give him a read-only access where he can't, the specific user can't do any changes. He can not even, check on the reports, or he can't perform any restore. He can just see what has been backed up and what has been restored. That's it. And then you can also, for recovery access, with the access privilege of recovery access, a person or the user to whomsoever it has been applied on, they can perform the recovery of their backup data. They can't configure a backup data, but they can recover the, trigger the recovery of the backup data that you have initially backed up. Okay. And then goes with the password. So whenever you have to identify, for example, now I'm just giving a member, like I can create a user 1. Okay, I'm just going with the recovery access and I'm giving a password. And so once I add the user, okay, I have to give a user mail ID. So I'm just giving it as user1 at Vembu.in. Let me keep it as user T1. Okay, so user T1 at Vembu.in. I'm giving a recovery access and password and confirm password. Once I add, the user will be added. So this user gets the recovery privilege. If I want to edit this user, I can reset the password here, or I can delete the user from here. Okay. If I want to add another user like this, I can keep on adding any number of user with the specified access privilege. Okay. So even I'm going to add another user like user 2 at Vembu.in, and I'm going to set the access privilege to be read only, and I'm adding a password over here for this user. I'm just setting it as user P2. Okay. I want to add this user. So you could see like one user with recovery access and another user with read-only access. And on the review page, it will list down all the details that I've set. So I can see my entities, what I've chosen, and I can see the tenant user details as well. Okay, the recovery access or read-only access. So, and I can save this tenant. Once I save, you could see like physical backups, or this entity or the tenant has been added here. So there are 3 tenants now: virtual tenant, SaaS tenant, and physical backups tenant. So yeah, now you have configured all the tenants. So now I just go to the list backup section. So all these tenants are added. When you click on tenant preview, you can preview what all things that you have set up for this tenant. Okay, so for example, if I want to check on virtual backups, it will be listing. I've created a tenant entity only with virtual backups. That is more of VMware and Hyper-V backups. SaaS backup is more for Microsoft 365 and Google Workspace. And physical backups, as you could see, now only the Microsoft Windows that I have added now. Okay, so here are these 3 tenants. So for understanding purpose, I'm just choosing only the virtual backup. So generally you could see over here like a Hyper-V backup, VMware backup, and WDI. That's the Windows Disk Image backup. This is more of a physical machine that I've taken a backup. So this I have, and when I choose only the virtual tenants, it will list down only the Hyper-V and VMware tenant entities. So I'm going to preview that. So here you could see like only these 2 tenants, virtual tenants, are seen. The third tenant, the third backup job, that is a disk image backup job, is not listed over here. Okay, and this is not when I check on this Microsoft, this was my SaaS tenant. So when I click on Microsoft 365 or Google Workspace job, it actually it doesn't list all those details. Okay. So if I want to switch off this tenant, I can exit this tenant detail. So this is a preview one. So in the same way, if I check on this physical tenant which I added now, I'll be able to see only this WDI backup data 1 backup job. So here you could see, like I could see only the WDI backup data 1 backup job. Okay, so only these is listed. The other 2, the virtual tenants which I have created, is not listed here. So this is what your tenant will also be. Okay, but on a user level, like I have given an access to the user level, right? So with that user level, I'm just going to the user level. I'm just signing it with the username that I gave. It was user E1 at Vembu.in with a password. Okay. So what I will be seeing is I just create a physical tenant now. So only for the disk image backup. So when I sign in with the username, this user has recovery access. Okay. So when I sign in with the username, here you could see, yeah, it lists down only one backup job. Here you could see, right? This was the only entity, the disk image backup. That's a physical entity that I have added under this tenant. So only this detail is seen, and I can perform any actions like backup or restore. Backup or reports that I could see over here. But I can see the restore option. When I go to restore backup data, I can see the restore option. Okay, so I can restore the data because I have that privilege. Okay, so I have that privilege, that is the recovery access I have. So I will be able to restore and check on the details, the reports also. So here I can check on the detailed report of VMs and hosts which has taken a backup. Okay, so that thing I am able to see with this access, that is recovery only access. Whereas if I go check on Microsoft 365 Google Workspace, it won't list here because my tenant is more confined to the physical tenant over here. So if I sign out and then I'm just logging in with the other user detail, user t2 at Vembu.in, and then a password. So if I'm going to log in, so what I'm going to see is I'll see the same setup, the same entity, but it is with read-only access. I won't be even able to restore that data. So here you can see I won't be able to restore the data, but I can read only the report. I can check on the report, mainly the reason, host, or detail. I can see what has been done, but I can't perform any restore option for this. Okay, so this is how your tenancy is gonna work. Like that, you can create any number of tenants. So now I'm just logging in with default username and password, that is administrative privilege. So like this, the users, like specifically this is going to be useful for service providers, so they can group their tenants based on the entity, or they can group the tenants based on the user storage, and based on that they can group their users and they can utilize the tenancy for them. Okay, so that is how your multi-tenancy option has been brought up. Okay, so this is what the feature that you could see. And the next immediate one is the BDR 360 server. As I already mentioned, this BDR 360 server option is only available for the Windows installation and not for the Linux. So when you click on BDR 360, you have to install, you have to download this the BDRSuite 360 server software and install it on a separate server operating machine. Okay, you have to install this and add the IP address of that installed machine over here. And if you have enabled any registration key, you have to add that registration key and save it. Okay, I've already added a BDR 360. I'll just show you that detail. So this is my BDR 360 server. This is also a web-based console here. So I'm just logging in to my BDRSuite 360 server. This is the username and password, which is default by admin. Okay. Here, this BDR 360 will list down all the backup jobs taken by my backup servers. Okay. If I have multiple backup servers, all these multiple backup servers can be seen from this one single BDR 360 console. So as of now, I just added one BDR, the BDR server. So this is my BDR server. So when I view this, I'm able to see only all those backup jobs that I have created in that BDR server. If I have multiple BDR servers, then I can see each of its sections. Okay. And then from this, this BDR 360, BDRSuite 360, you can read through the reports. You can monitor how your backups of each backup job from each of your backup server has been configured and what is the status of these details, even if it is failed or why has it been failed. All those error codes will be listed down in this BDR 360. As of now, it's more of an it's more like an monitoring tool where you can check on all the details either through reports. So you can see the details for the backup jobs. If you have created any backup copy jobs, even those backup copy jobs detail will be listed down in this BDR 360. Your VM replication jobs which you have created, even that will be listed. And tape archives which you have created, even those reports will be seen. And you can read through each of the reports from this BDR 360 itself. Okay, all the report details will be available for you, both for your VMware, Hyper-V and Windows, as well as for your file servers, endpoints and applications. We don't have, this BDR 360 will not list the details of your Microsoft 365, Google Workspace and AWS backup jobs reports. Okay. Apart from this, it will report all the VMware, Hyper-V, Windows and file servers endpoint details. Even these reports can be triggered as an email notification. Okay. So this is one single console where you can see all the status of your client's backup server and their backup jobs. Okay, it's more useful for MSPs or even for enterprise class businesses who want to check on each of their teams. They can check this detail. Okay, that's what you have for this BDR 360 server from this end. So as of now, we don't have this run now or run immediately option or delete the backup job details. in this release, but we'll be coming. We'll be bringing that up in one of our future releases. Okay. So this is your BDR 360 console. So now again to the BDR backup server. So as of now, I've just mentioned the three main concepts, or those three main new features that we have added. One is BDR 360, another one is tenants, and then another one is Azure Restore. Okay, so all these are explained to you. Now all the enhancements. So as I told you, most of the enhancements were done only for the Microsoft 365 backup jobs. So it is generally for the on-demand backup that you could give. There is a run now option, that is a schedule now option that is now being added to this Microsoft 365 account. So that is one option, and another enhancement is the backup progress. So here you could see the progress window, which will list down the backup for the Microsoft 365. Okay, so once you click on it, here is the progress window. So here is a progress window that will list down what detail has been under progress. Initially, it was not there. Now we have brought it up in this BDR Suite version 5.2. Here you can check for user mailbox, group mailbox, SharePoint sites, and Teams as well. Okay. So that's over here. And another option is towards the restore for Microsoft 365 as well as for Google Workspace. When you click on restore, I'm just going to do that for a specific mailbox. So I'm choosing a particular timestamp here. Here you could see the subfolder. So the subfolder tree structure has been brought up. So if you have any subfolders under it, it will list down all those subfolders and details. Okay, that is one of the enhancements that we have made. And another one is OneDrive. For OneDrive, if you have any subfolders, even that subfolders details will be shown, and you can restore that data from the download file section action here itself. Okay, or even that can be done. And these mailbox, when you if you choose any particular mailbox and proceed to restore, you can even download it in a PST format. So this downloaded PST format can be viewed in any of the Microsoft Outlook. Initially it had some version constraints, but now we have removed those version constraints. You can download this mailbox in the PST format. Even the group mailbox, it is allowed. For OneDrive, so whatever the data that you're selecting, for example, if I want to select these two data and I restore, so I can choose to restore it to my custom location. The custom location in the sense to my local location. Either it can be restored in a zip file format, or it can be, if I uncheck it, it will be restoring it in normal file format. If it is in zip file, it will compress the size of the data and get it restored. Okay, so these are the main enhancements that went through in this BDR Suite version 5.2. So I hope pretty much I have covered most of the topics in BDR Suite, and as well as the new features and the enhancements which I have discussed. So now to the slide. So so we have come to the end of the session, and people, I could see like a lot of question and answers are coming in, and my team is also trying to answer it. Nivas is one at the other end who's trying to monitor all those questions, and we'll be answering all those questions. And the session will be open for another 5 to 10 minutes for you to drop in your questions if you have any. So if you can drop in all your questions there. If we are not able to answer the questions as of now, we'll be answering the questions and sending you the email. Okay, if it is a random question, we don't send emails, but if it is a question which is specific enough, we'll filter those questions and answer those questions and send it to you to the specific user accounts, user mail IDs with which you have registered. Okay, and moreover, this webinar recording will be available to you in another 48 hours. So it will be directly in our website, so you can see that details in our website. Okay, and so post this session, you will be navigated to our website, Vembu.com, where you can read through our product, or you have 30 days of free trial of this BDRSuite version 5.2. You can download it and start using the software. So you have 30 days of free trial without any feature restrictions, and all these new features and enhancements which I mentioned will also be available in that BDRSuite version 5.2 build that you are going to download from my website. Okay, so if at all, while evaluating, you can evaluate the software. As I told you, you have 30 days of free trial. While evaluation, you want to inquire about some details, you can very well contact our sales team for details. Maybe you can even set up a one-to-one demo where you'll get to know more about a particular feature technically. Okay, and if you, while evaluating, if you have any issues, then you can reach us through Vembu-support@vembu.com. So one of my support team member will get in touch with you and help you with the issue, if at all you face any. Okay, and regarding the pricing and details, again, you can just send your code to Vembu-sales@vembu.com, or one of my sales team member or account manager from the channel team will be assigned, and they'll help you with the pricing and the quotation details. Okay, and if you want to even become a partner of Vembu, you can use that same mail ID, or if you want to contact us through phone, you have the displayed numbers on our screen now, so you can just phone to those number, and someone from my team, either the sales or support, will help you with the process. Okay, and thank you so much everyone for joining this session, and I'm pretty much sure that I have explained all those details. So if you want any extra detail more technically, then you can schedule a one-on-one demo. Okay, so yes, as I told, like there are a few questions that is dropping in, so we'll wait for another 5 minutes. The session will be in open, so you can drop your questions in the QA box aside. So once you drop, my team member will be trying to answer it immediately, or if you are not able to answer that immediately, we'll be sending you an email as told before. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen.